Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Welcome to Monday. Dear God,
That's that's
that was
right.
that was weird, man. Like I didn't get any kind of like things. Show's live. Nothing
Oh,
pops up like normal. It's weird.
we're on. You don't see it now
No,
counting
no,
down?
no, no. That's fine. That's great.
Yeah, we're on. We're good.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Well, there you go. Look at
I
that.
know. Yeah. Um,
Howdy.
yeah, it's a Monday. It feels like a Monday. I don't know. I felt like it's Monday all day long. It's like, yeah, and I don't even do anything. I mean, that's the messed up part. Like, I don't have an actual job yet. And
Right.
so, like, Monday shouldn't be anything like it should be like every other day for me. But
Dude, you know what? They stay that way. I mean, you know me. My sleep schedule is so goofy. Like you've told me 100 times, you don't even know when to call me
yeah,
because
no.
because sometimes I'm up at 6 a.m. and sometimes I'm up at 3 p.m. and you know, sometimes I'm not up at all during the day. I really am in a goofy sleep schedule, but I
Yeah.
always know when it's Monday.
Yeah.
Just because Mondays suck. They just suck. They suck for everybody.
So much to talk about. So we got
Yes.
Whitesnake, TSO, Joel
Joel Hoekstra.
Hoekstra coming up in
Yes.
just a little while. I got a message from Joe Burdick Custom Flags.
Okay.
He was on his way home,
Okay.
and he received an envelope from Mr. Donald Trump.
Really?
Yes.
Was it an envelope to be stuffed with dollar bills and
I
sent
don't
back
think
to
so.
Mr. Donald Trump?
I think it was a number for Stormy Daniels. No, it was just an envelope, I believe, thanking him because I believe he got the former president
Oh,
a
that's right.
flag.
Nice. Very nice.
So I have the faith and belief and hope that there will be once again
Right.
that flag will be hanging in the White House, which would be sweet.
Nice. A Joel Burdick flag. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so maybe Joe will call in later. We'll see.
Sure.
Um, I guess I want to get started with what everybody is talking about.
Joel Hoekstra coming on at 4:45.
That's exactly what everybody's talking about. Well, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I think my wife and her sister are probably a tad bit more excited about that.
That's funny.
I don't understand. We get all these rock stars on, and the only reason that, well, one of the many reasons why I like doing that is because if my wife watches,
Right.
it generally means a better night for me
Nice.
because
like
we get
yeah.
what?
You're like, yeah. Look at what I'm doing for you, honey. And then
Yeah,
I'm sure that's how you present it too, isn't it?
I think it's more or less it's like putting a poster on the ceiling of the bedroom. Like, I mean, she gets to look at the good-looking rock star, and then I got to talk to the good-looking rock star, and so I guess I'm associated with the good-looking rock star.
Well, just take full credit for it. Say, yeah. You know what, Heather? This is who I brought to the show today. Just take full credit, dude.
Absolutely. I have his personal cell number.
That's right. I just reached out and said, hey, Joel, you want to come on this week?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, come
What
on.
do you got going on? Nothing. Come on, you got to go on the show.
Yeah, come on. Why not?
So everybody seems to be talking about the great Jim Brown.
Yes.
So I'm going to play some highlights. We can reminisce about the.
Okay.
Not that I was alive to know what Jim Brown was, but
Me?
all right, that's enough. We don't need to see all.
Yeah, they're all touchdowns. We get it.
He's a great player. He was a fantastic player. Jim Brown,
the greatest in many people's minds.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
He did a lot of hitting in his time.
On and off the field.
On and off the field. And so that's kind of my point. And I'm going to take probably some shit for this.
Okay.
But all these people out there, especially on the left, hate people that are bad people and say you can't do the job if you're a bad person. You have to be a good person. Yet all I've heard is praise for one Jim Brown for
Okay.
days now.
Sure.
Well, I have it on my phone, the article, so to speak. Let's run through some of the things that Jim Brown was good at other than football.
Okay.
On June 9th, 1968, Brown was booked on suspicion of assault with intent to commit murder against his girlfriend.
Sure.
The woman, a model, was found semi-conscious and moaning on a concrete patio 20 feet below the balcony of Brown's Hollywood apartment.
Ouch.
So she took a hit, and a nasty one.
That's right.
I'm going to get a lot of shit. Sorry, Sandy. Oh, yeah. Let's continue.
Okay.
1965, an 18-year-old accused Brown of assault and battery in an East Side Cleveland motel, later alleging that he fathered her child.
Wow.
Looks like she took a couple of hits in different ways.
Yeah. A couple parts of her anatomy took a beating.
Took a beating. Man. In 1985, Brown was booked on suspicion of rape and sexual battery in Los Angeles, following a complaint by a 33-year-old school teacher. She claimed Brown punched her in the face, choked her nearly unconscious, and threatened to break her ribs before sexually assaulting her.
Okay. All right.
In 1999, Brown was tried in Hollywood Municipal Court on domestic violence charges after his wife called 911. According to reports, he was accused of making a terrorist threat and vandalism for smashing her car with a shovel.
Wow.
His wife, however, pleaded with police detectives not to arrest the Hall of Famer.
Well, there you go. Not guilty.
So Brown denied all these allegations in every case.
Okay.
Saying, quote, "I'm no angel. I've never been convicted."
There you go. See? Innocent.
That means everything's fine.
That's right.
So my point is that all I've heard for the past however many days since he passed away, they even have billboards. Like I was driving down the highway the other day, and there's like a billboard that lights up and stuff, and about how great Jim Brown was. Oh, Jim Brown, rest in peace. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm sure he was a great activist, and yes, he was a fantastic football player. Maybe the best player that we've had.
Best football player that we've had?
Maybe best sports star that we've had.
All right, I'll hang on that for a little while because
we can discuss that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
So my question is, why haven't you heard any of the bad stuff? And my other question is, why are all these leftist people out there saying, "Oh, Jim Brown is the greatest person of all time," but they hate Donald Trump? Donald Trump, who supposedly maybe had sex with a porn star, ran some businesses that people didn't necessarily like, maybe went broke a couple of times, maybe did like every other rich person does and did tax loopholes, took advantage of the system.
Sure.
But he was running the country in a way that was a good way. He was running the country positively. So when you get people, I'm not going to mention names, when you get people that sit there and hold their head and start crying and moaning and whining over Donald Trump because he was a terrible person. What a terrible person. I hate his tweets. He's a dick.
Right.
But I love Jim Brown. What a great person. Jim Brown, fantastic activist, football player. We should build a statue to Jim Brown.
Oh, we did?
Yes. Who beat the hell out of women.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Threw one out of a window over a balcony.
Off a balcony.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I forgot. He was never convicted.
That's right. So innocent.
After women changed their stories, pleaded with police not to arrest him, not to do anything. In fact, the one woman, after she pleaded with police, I believe the officer said that she came to him and said, "But please put this down in reference to just in case anything happens in the future." Just in case anything didn't happen now, but just in case something happens in the future, I want you to know.
That worked out well for Nicole Brown Simpson, by the way.
Yeah, it worked out great for her.
Worked out great having evidence in a storage just in case.
And the officer acknowledged that Her eyes were red. She was shaky. And yeah, okay. He wasn't convicted. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. I mean, not convicted. My here's what I think, dude. And this you may agree, you may not agree, and that's okay. If you're gonna act like an asswipe, like a typical liberal would, then it's fine to convict Jim Brown today in the wake of his death for the bad things that he did. If you're gonna be a Republican and forgive Donald Trump for grabbing the girl by the pussy or for banging Stormy Daniels or for bad business or whatever, then you kind of got to let Jim Brown go too. You got to say, okay, he's doing his thing. He did his thing. He repented and he went 25 years without a charge.
Now, let me just say this, though. I have not really given my opinion on whether I like Jim Brown or not.
True.
I was just pointing out that, the hypocrisy of saying what a great guy he was.
Yeah.
And what a great person, activist and football player and everything he was. But nobody wants to bring up the rest of the garbage that comes along with Jim Brown. No. I personally don't care.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Whatever. I don't care what he did ever off the field.
When it comes to who I like on the field, I don't really care.
Yeah.
If Ray Lewis was on our football team, as long as we won a Super Bowl, I'd say yes, he's a scumbag and a piece of crap, but he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude. if the sexual assaultist that we have playing quarterback wins us a Super Bowl, he'll be my favorite sexual assaultist of all time.
There you go.
I will wear his jersey proudly as a Browns fan because I really don't care. There's people in general, and I'll say this about football first, but I'll say it about life in general. If you don't know the person directly, stop pretending that you do. Stop pretending that you're outraged about things that you're not outraged about. These guys are all the Cleveland Browns as players, past, present, future. They are blips on your screen 16 weeks a year and live combatants 1 game a year that you go generally. That's what they are. So accept them for what they are. They're entertainment to you. They're the same as a ticket to a movie theater. They're the same as a subscription to Netflix. That's all they are. They're not more important than that. Don't give them more importance than that.
And people will say, well, you say that you don't like LeBron James. Well, I know I don't like LeBron James.
Sure.
And the only reason I don't care about the championship that LeBron James brought to this town is not necessarily because of LeBron James. I just don't like basketball.
Sure.
I'm just not a basketball fan.
Yeah. No, I
never really have been a basketball fan. So I could care less if we won 10 championships in basketball. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
But I think LeBron James is a dick. Somebody posted last night, and he's a friend of mine. And if you're listening, I apologize, but I mean, he posted how great LeBron is because he got married and, he was handed all this money and you don't hear stories about LeBron and he has kids. He's involved in the kid's life and everything. Okay, well, so am I. But there's no award for being involved in your kid's life. There's no award for being married. That's kind of what you're supposed to do.
Well, we're now in a society that expects anybody that makes money and becomes a celebrity to be a douche. So literally, you have to celebrate the ones that aren't. And believe me, I can't stand LeBron. I hope he never comes back to Cleveland. I thought he was a cancer the entire time he was here, first time and second time. And he's a liar, and he's a shit talker, and the way the team kissed his ass with his posse was just insanity, just crazy. That being said, you cannot argue that he's one of the best behaved sports stars that we have seen in the public eye in decades.
Okay, and again, I just think that, but you don't hear about the behaved ones. Because there are a lot of athletes out there that do what they're supposed to do. There's a lot of athletes out there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about superstars.
Yeah,
most of the superstars end up being Antonio Brown.
I don't like LeBron because I just think he's an ass. I think he's an ass the way that he left Cleveland doing it on national TV.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that was just stupid. I think he was an ass the way that he treated the Indians when he went to a game. They
Yeah, where the Yankees
treated him like royalty to get him inside the park, gave him the
Mhm.
seats, all that kind of stuff. And then he wears a Yankees hat in our stadium.
Yeah,
I think he's an ass just because I think he's an arrogant tool.
sure.
But he's a great player. There's no taking that away. And
Yeah.
you know, he brought Cleveland a championship. If you like that kind of thing, I'm just not into
Yeah.
the basketball thing. But I don't think you should get an award because you are a family guy.
Well,
There's
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
that
people
I
out
don't
there.
think that's the only reason they're trying to say that he's, you know, he should be celebrated. I think what they're trying to say is that he's the lone super mega star that we've ever had in Cleveland that didn't act like an ass.
I don't think the Bernie
Publicly.
Kosar act like an ass.
Bernie's had how many DWIs?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of act like an ass.
You know, that's not being straight laced. You know, Bernie made enough money to hire Uber or a cab or whatever. You know, and I'm not trying to hammer on him either. But there you go. That's about the biggest thing you've ever heard publicly about LeBron is that he's horrible. He's a horrible tipper.
There was a Sharon Reed rumor, but those are just rumors. I'm not here to talk about rumors.
Yeah.
But Gunner, you're probably right. But I know Sharon Reed. She's very nice.
Yeah. Andre Thornton. Come on. Andre Thornton was an average player on a bad team, which made him seem like a great player.
A superstar.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other superstars that we've really had here.
Yeah. I mean, Albert Bell? No.
Well,
Tomey? But Tomey screwed the city.
he screwed the city, but I don't know if he was. We don't like him because of what he did that way. You know, but
Yeah.
I don't think he was
I mean,
necessarily.
Tomey might be one. I mean,
Manu Ramirez?
Manny's a goof. And Manny really didn't, you know, the thing that's weird about Manny is, you know, he only spent half his career here. Not even half his career here. He spent the bulk of his career away from Cleveland. You know, so I don't know that you count Manny all the way in. I think Tomey spent half his career here. The good half. Well, not even the good half, because he was good with the Phillies too. But Tomey might be one, but he left. I mean, that's the big problem. Is if you're trying to find a superstar that played here, I mean, you got to go way back. Bob Feller, you know.
I heard he was kind of an ass too, but
I don't know what Bob Feller's story was. I mean, that was what, 1940s?
Mark Price and those Cavs.
Yeah, but they didn't win anything. They didn't win anything.
Well, they were close.
I mean, if you're going to do that, then you got to put World B Free up there, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem. Is we are a city that lacks enough celebrity to make this justification. You know, I mean, who? I mean, we're 5 stars in, and we're getting into Rick Manning territory. You know, I mean, that's really the sadness of it. Or Jerry Dubzinski or whatever, Tom Verizon. You know, I mean, we're really kind of getting to the bottom of the barrel fast. I mean, who would you have for the Browns? Even
other than Bernie?
Webster Slaughter. What's the guy that ran the kicks back? He's a really nice dude too, and I can't think of his name with the dreads. Cribbs.
Oh, Josh Cribbs. Yeah.
Josh Cribbs. I mean, Cribbs.
He's a Hall of Famer if you want to look at the stats that he had, and I love Josh.
Yeah,
and he's a super. All right, I would put Josh in celebrity category, one of the best punt returners, if not the best punt returner of all time.
Okay, but what does that get you in the national spotlight? The best punt returner of all time.
I know.
But
he's also a great guy.
But who's he competing with? Just in that category of punt returner, who's he competing with? The dude from Chicago, whatever that guy's name was, and he was a scumbag. You know, I can't remember his name, but he just constantly ran back for touchdowns.
But Josh also was a good guy, though.
Yeah.
So you don't hear anything bad about that guy.
And who's the other one? Billy White Shoes Johnson. I mean, this dude. When you look at when you talk about LeBron, and again, I want to state this again. I hate him. Hate him. Hope he never comes back. Hope he's eliminated tomorrow or whenever they play. You know, I can't stand LeBron James. I always want him to lose. But when you look at the category, the caliber of superstar that he's compared to the elite of the elite. He's compared to MJ, he's compared to Wilt Chamberlain. He's compared to Oscar Robertson, the elitist of the elite in basketball.
Yeah.
Whether you take him as 1, 2, or 3, he's there. So he's on that level. Jim Brown, clearly, eight rushing titles in 9 years and just quit at the prime of his career to go be an actor or whatever, beat women or whatever it was that he was doing after he left the football field. You know, he was an elite player, and he did bring the Browns one of their very few championships. You know, so he's in that rare air. I mean, if you talk about the greatest running backs of all time, do you put, I mean, who's the all-time leader in yards? Emmitt Smith, I think. If it's Emmitt Smith, do you put him above Jim Brown? Don't think so.
No. Walter Payton above Jim Brown? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put a Walter Payton above Jim Brown.
Maybe. I don't know about Walter Payton being above Jim Brown. Payton had some rough years, too. There were some years at the end of his career when that guy, what was that guy's name? Neil Anderson was splitting carries with him. You know, O.J. Simpson. Forget the killing part of O.J. I mean, O.J. was you can't take away how good O.J. was on the field.
No, you can't. You can take his bust out of the Hall of Fame, apparently. But
yeah, but, you know, and that therein lies where the problem comes with Jim Brown. If we're taking O.J. out of the Hall of Fame and out of the running, you know, now you can't even say that he was a good Bills player. I'd imagine that in Buffalo, you cannot mention O.J. Simpson. You know, right? Don't you think?
I guess. I don't know. I love O.J. I think O.J. was fantastic.
He was a great player, and he was funny in movies. Yeah, he was fun in movies.
So I like O.J.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he killed people, I mean, you know, is it a downside, I guess?
Yeah, and Lord knows, just for anybody that's on Twitter, OJ's one of the very best follows on Twitter ever. If you want to follow, because all OJ does is talks about football, and then every comment underneath it is just about killing people. Every comment underneath, OJ will be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that the Colts beat the Bears," and then 50 comments in a row will be like, "Kind of like you beating Nicole, right?" Or like you beat Nicole with a knife. You know, I mean, it's just brutal.
Wow.
But he's on there. He's the most fun follow on YouTube or on Twitter.
I'm going to start that like now.
Yeah. Oh, dude. OJ is great. And he always starts off, "What's going on, YouTube people?" or Twitter people. He's hilarious on Twitter, man. He's great.
See, I talked to a guy that wrote books on that whole OJ murder thing, whatever. And he said that no, OJ knew that if it went to trial, he was going to be let go. And that it was actually his son who committed the murders. And because that's why the glove wouldn't fit, because it was the smaller kid.
Yeah, Jason. It was Jason.
So and OJ knew, like, hey, man, if I go to trial, most likely I'm going to beat this thing. And
yeah, man.
Wanted to stand up for his kid and make sure his kid didn't go to jail. Tito is a manager.
Tito as what? The greatest that we've had?
One of the best sports
ever
figures in Cleveland.
Maybe in Cleveland.
But we still haven't won a World Series.
Yeah, and you know, that's like saying, you know, you're the best in the regular season, but you never win anything. What is that really the best? Tito's missing something. Tito's missing. See, that's the whole thing. And I mean, if you're going to count the greatest managers of all time, are you listing Tito Francona? I don't think so.
Didn't he take the Red Sox to a World Series?
He did.
Finally?
So he has he has a championship. I'm not saying he doesn't.
And to do what he's done with some of these Indians/Guardians teams, I think is pretty remarkable. Because it's not like we have the high-priced talent of other markets, and you know we are there all the time. They're always in a running for something.
I'm just doing a quick Google. Greatest managers of all time. It pulled up 42. Let me see if Tito Francona is on any of them. I don't see him. Don't see it. No. He's not listed in the 42 greatest managers of all time. Now, I'm not going to be honest. I did this on the fly. It's not like we planned it. some of these names I wouldn't put above Tito Francona. To be very clear here, I sure wouldn't put Mike Scioscia over Tito Francona.
No, I would not either.
I don't know that I would put Buck Showalter above him either. There's Tito. Tito is on the 42 greatest. He's, well, what's 42 divided by 3? Whatever that is. He's 42. He's under Walter Alston, who is a great manager. Was a great manager in the 1920s or whatever,
right.
20s or 30s or something. He's again, not saying he's not great. Greatest of all time, though. Certainly greatest in Cleveland history. No, quite honestly, hate to be this guy.
Really,
it's LeBron.
Okay, would you? But as far as
greatest
the
manager of all
time in Cleveland,
I might take Grover.
Really? Well, Grover had so much talent on those teams. I
mean, but he was able to manage it because he was able to manage it, and much like Tito, he didn't win the big ones. The only reason he had that talent,
they should have won.
The only reason he had, they would have won too if they hadn't had that strike.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that strike screwed. They were what, 130, 100 wins, insane. 30 losses or something like that when the season stopped. They were on pace to win like 115, 120 games. They were unstoppable that year. And Grover had some years where he didn't have amazing talent either, and he took them to the World Series. The years when he had like Matt Williams and that cast of characters and didn't have all the pitching that he had in the 95.
I still think that some of those teams are still better than what we've had recently as far as talent.
Sure.
goes.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you were naming top, I'll go back to managers. I'll just list the top 5 that they list here. You tell me if you think Tito is better than these 5. Tony La Russa.
Better than Tito, you said?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
You think La Russa's better than Tito?
Maybe.
I think he's better than Tito. He's got multiple championships with the A's and the what was the National League team he was with? The Cardinals. Right? Cardinals?
I believe so.
John McGraw. That's way early. That's like the 1910s or whatever.
Yeah, I'll pass on knowing anything about.
Connie Mack, another one from like the 1910s or whatever. But these are like those legendary old guys. Miller Huggins.
Yeah.
Now this one, I might argue the point. Davey Johnson. One with the Mets.
Man.
That's close.
I think Tito's better.
That's a close one. Billy Martin, that's a pretty easy one. Can't really argue. He won like
forget about
a bunch of championships.
But then again, you always have to go back to the kind of talent that they have. What wins championships? Tripp and I used to talk about this all the time. What wins championships? Manage the coach or the players. I mean, it really depends on who you are managing, I guess.
There's so many factors to it. That's why I certainly, if I was picking, Tito would be much lower on my list of all-time Cleveland great guys, just because Tito can't do it alone. Tito has to have the combination of players that are all connecting at the right time and doing, playing well at the right time. He has to have a front office that gets it and knows, like as an example, when they traded Kluber.
Yeah.
When they traded Kluber, don't lie and say you weren't one of those. It was like, what the hell are they doing? Trading the Cy Young guy. Everybody thought that, and then it turned out to be a brilliant move.
I thought that at first, but at the same time, I did have the privilege of working closer to the team with the station I was with, and so there, you knew that there was something wrong with that guy.
Sure,
you knew there was either injuries, there was something going wrong with Kluber that they weren't letting you know.
Yeah,
and so when they traded, I was kind of pissed. Like, okay, here we go again. But I think they knew something that maybe not everybody knew.
Well, dude, how about Lindor?
I was kind of angry about that one.
And yet it's turned out to be better because what's his name that's on the team now? Jimenez? I don't really watch the Indians, but Jimenez is a better player than Lindor.
That Lindor, I mean, he suffered a little bit when he went over to the Mets, but I think he's been doing all right, I guess.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith.
He's one of my guys. He follows all my things. There's another Toomey show coming, Kevin. It's just in production right now.
You do a lot of stuff, man. You're always out there.
I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, it seems that way. So I don't know. Back to the original point of the Jim Brown conversation.
Yeah.
I like Jim Brown as a player. I think he's a great player.
Agree.
I think that he's probably one of the best, or the best Cleveland Brown of all time.
Of course.
But I get tired of seeing all the love and the praise and everything else without people talking about the bad stuff, because that seems to be the way people do things now. Well, I mean, I know there are certain people out there, and I've talked to them, and I know them personally, who have said, I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump over a piece of shit. Literally, that's their quote, not mine.
Sure.
And I said, well, it's not about the person. It's about who's running the country.
Okay. Well, let me.
It's not about the person. It's about who's scoring touchdowns. And everybody seems to overlook the person when it comes to Jim Brown, but not the other way around. Now, I know it's not the president of the United States, but when I want the country to run right, that's what I want.
Look,
and I don't care what they do.
Let's be honest. In Cleveland, a Browns player probably more important than the president of the United States.
I guess, yeah.
Dude, it goes both ways, and this is where I think we get lost in our own world of politics sometimes. Because I could tell you, and there's 400 different videos of me saying it on the Classic Metal Show when Hillary Clinton was running.
Yeah.
I said numerous times, my exact quote was, I would vote for the BTK killer over Hillary because he killed less people. I said that over and over and over and over. And I meant it. And I wouldn't have cared. You could have trotted Ted Bundy, the ticket of Ted Bundy and Gary Ridgway versus Hillary Clinton and whoever was her running mate. And I would have absolutely voted for the Serial Killers 2020. I would have been that guy because I would have never voted for Hillary. Same as people on the left would not vote for Donald Trump. It becomes quite the game. And I think here the only problem I really have with taking it back to Jim Brown is I don't think we should be erecting statues of guys that have, multiple accusations of anything criminal on them, whether they're guilty or not. I'm again, this is just me. I'm a believer in where there's smoke, there's fire. When there's a lot of smoke, there's more likely fire. And when you see the flames, there's definitely been some fire. Jim Brown, we definitely saw the flames. Yeah. What you read, 7 or 8 accusations of beating women up?
There's a few.
Okay, that's more than one match being lit. That's a stick of dynamite there going off. He had some issues with women.
And I'm not trying to trash somebody that just passed away. God knows, man. When I go, there's going to be plenty that people could trash me for. But I'm also not in the limelight like that. I'm also not, being recognized on billboards throughout town. And, when I saw the billboard and I was reading all these articles, and I found this article on Cleveland.com talking about, hey, all this stuff that he's done in the past kind of is part of his legacy. And I think people forget that. And, maybe they should remember some of the bad things that the guy, I'm sure the girls that accused him of rape and beating the hell out of him, toss him out balconies, aren't, sitting there saying what a great football player that guy was. I'm so glad, or so upset that he's gone.
Yeah, I'm quite sure the woman that got thrown off the balcony is not booking a ticket to the funeral.
No. And so I just think that it's kind of weird how we work as a society and think that.
Yeah. Nope. Well, we're all celebrity struck. And there's another word for it, but I'm trying not to cuss today as much. But there's this thing about celebrity where for whatever reason we just allow things that we would not allow our friends and neighbors to do, but we allow them to do. What's the guy's name? The big tall receiver for the Steelers. Plaxico Burress.
Yeah.
shot himself in the leg
right.
in a club with a gun in his sweats.
Right.
And did that, if you did that, you would have done 2 to 5.
Yeah.
For discharging a weapon and in a club. You would have done at least 2 years for that. What did he do? Nothing. Went to he did community service, I think. And
there's a lot of people out there like that. I mean, the Ray Lewis's of the world, but even the little things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with these people that are so-called that our kids look up to.
Sure.
Role models.
Dude, we all do it. We've all done it. Look at, I'll go back to my world, which is more music than sports or whatever. In the music world, what was the biggest tour last year in the rock world? Do you know?
No.
It was the big stadium tour with Motley Crue and Poison and Def Leppard or whatever.
Yeah.
Motley Crue
Holy
singer.
crap, those guys. Yeah.
Motley Crue singer killed somebody. Killed him in a drunk driving car. Him and the guy's name was Razzle. He played in a band called Hanoi Rocks. Killed him. Drunk driving.
Right.
Then you got Tommy Lee.
Forget about him.
I mean, multiple arrests. Arrested, did jail time for beating Pam Anderson, did all this bad stuff. Then you've got, Nikki Sixx with the drugs. I mean, there's a point in all of our lives where we allow celebrities to get away with stuff. I think in the end, and I'll just be my final statement on Jim Brown. My final thought with Jim Brown is, did he do some bad shit? Of course he did. That being said, he also did a lot of good stuff. I mean, you cannot argue that he put himself out there to negotiate the riots in Watts. Right. You can't argue the fact that he was an advocate for speaking your mind and, not stepping up. He was, and again, he was the greatest football player ever to play in Cleveland. So you got to kind of accept him for what he was.
All right. Speaking of rock stars,
yes,
we have our own coming up in just a minute here.
Yes, we do.
A quick break. Joel Hoekstra will be joining us in about 2 minutes. Maybe we should ask him about rock star life and what it's like to be a role model. And
zero chance he answers you. Zero chance. I don't trust see. Joel on that one.
All right. We do have a new sponsor, Yellow Brick Road Auctions. Very excited about them joining the program. Very interesting stuff. So listen to it, and you got to check out their website, yellowbrickroadauctions.com. Very cool stuff. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Hang on.
All right.
There's no place like home, and whether it's furniture, artwork, home accessories, appliances, or that one-of-a-kind collectible, Yellow Brick Road Online Auctions allows you to find everything you need from the comfort of your own home. The owner of Yellow Brick Road Auctions has been conducting online estate auctions for over 8 years by providing homeowners with a stress-free process to liquidate all items that have accumulated over the years.
I'm Melissa Mendici, owner of Yellow Brick Road Auctions. Log on today to find your heart's desire.
Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give them a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977. Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney, no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney.
Once or twice would be nice to be heard and seen. I could say to myself and just play that it's all a dream. From the knock on the door came a crack in the sky. When it did, and you stared and took hold of my soul and mind in record time. In you, I see the fantasy ahead of me that's telling me what to do. You're clean, yeah, it's scaring me, but daring me to change all that's me.
Awesome stuff. And joining us now, Joel Hoekstra. How you doing, my friend?
Great. How you guys?
Good.
We are fantastic. Good to have you on. Thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Well, Joel, you're a busy guy, man. When you're not in any of your 15 bands, you're now building Joel Hoekstra's 13. You have what? This is the third record with Crash of Life out on June the 13th. Great stuff. Let's start there, man. Tell us a little bit about this one. Comes pretty fast off the last one, as well as right at the same time as Revolution Saints. So kind of talk about where you're at, musically and creatively.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I started, I guess, back in 2015. I think as I was, getting more well known for being in the hard rock bands, et cetera. My time with Night Ranger, Rock of Ages, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which of course still with, Whitesnake still with, but my solo albums were kind of done back when I was doing instrumental stuff, a little more like two kind of almost I guess jazz like rock fusion,
Sure.
and then an acoustic record, all instrumental. So I had a lot of people saying, how come you don't have any solo music out that's like rock stuff? And so I thought, well, I'd like to do that, but I don't really want to do the style where the guitar player's taking 2-minute solos in every song, or doing like the instrumental thing anymore, or progressive even, where it really didn't sound all that appealing to me. So I just kind of came up with this concept of trying to create like songs where I do all the writing. So I write all the riffs and then I write the lyrics and the vocal melodies, but try to come from a place of just, songs. And what got me into this whole scene in the first place when I was a kid, what made me like that era of rock and roll. So, and obviously this stuff is kind of, no matter what, spun like 2023. It's not exact. It doesn't exactly sound like an 80s record if you listen to it, but I'm certainly inspired by that era of music.
No doubt. Well, let's talk about this record. It's something that you just said, which I think is fascinating coming from you, which is that you write everything for Joel Hoekstra's 13. Is it a difficult adjustment, or how do you adjust between that with this band and other projects and bands that you've been in? Obviously Whitesnake, that's a David Coverdale. I know you write with him, but everything goes through him as far as the creative process. And then Revolution Saints, which again, you collaborate, I believe on, but it's not only you. Is there like a switch that has to turn on or off when you switch between projects?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's cool. I'm not opposed to doing the collaborative thing. I think it's great. I think it's intriguing to figure out, what kind of results you get from different approaches. So everyone has a different level that I move with. Like you said, Coverdale, for the most part, he's going to have an idea of a song and maybe say, where would you take it from there? And you can contribute like guitar riffs, ideas where to go. You can't contribute like vocals or anything like that because that's his territory, right?
Mhm.
And rightfully so. No issues with that. That's that's David Coverdale. And it was kind of the same, with Night Ranger. Like, it was
Sure.
like be able to like put some guitar riffs in and things like that, or come up with some kind of bed for them to like write lyrics or sing on. But it wasn't going to be my gig to be like writing the lyrics and the melodies, etc.
Right.
So similar with Iconic, my project with Michael Sweet and Tommy Aldridge and Marco Mendoza and Nathan James. So that, what I do for that is I do the guitar riffs unarranged. Michael Sweet arranges them. They go to
Right.
Alessandro and Nathan, and they write the lyrics and the vocal melodies. So, all these things I'm cool with. But like every once in a while, you want to be the guy that just is like, hey, man, I'm going to do all of it.
Right.
and I get the final say so in the mix, and the production elements, and I'm the guy to like okay the artwork, etc. And you have some input on all that. So it's a lot more work, I'll tell you that. Like
Sure.
when you do this, I literally like sing the entire record as a guide vocal for the lead vocalist to listen to and go from. Very long answer to your question, but
No,
bottom line is I'm cool with all of it. Like, if it's whatever framework it's in, like, let's see what we get. And that's cool. Cause I don't know if necessarily I want every project to be like something that I'm doing all of.
Sure.
It can be cool to be just like a piece of the puzzle too. But these, the Joel Hoekstra 13 things that, the albums, they're very much my babies.
All right. So first I got to tell you that my sister-in-law is watching, listening, whatever, and she's a super huge fan. So she keeps sending me texts and stuff on my phone of just hearts, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing the show. You got to stop sending texts of just hearts. So she apparently is a big fan. What was it about the '80s music that made it so different from the sounds that have come since then? And rock music, to me, isn't the same as it was back then. And I like the fact that there are bands out there still trying to keep that sound alive. What made that kind of sound so special and different?
I'm not necessarily like 100% 80s guy. I kind of I would say more of a classic rock guy because I've fallen so far out of touch with like, when people ask me about new bands, I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Like,
It sucks.
I work on music all the time, so I fall behind because my career got so busy that it's like, well, I worked on music like 6-7 hours today. Do I want to like sit back and listen to new bands? No.
Right.
I want to like get away from music, basically. So, AC/DC is what got me in. That's what pulled me in. Back in Black, hearing that and seeing Angus Young and being like, that's the coolest dude I've ever seen. And that was great hard rock. And I really loved, I would say the, 70s stuff where the bands were kind of prolific together. The 80s, I loved how all the guitar players were prolific,
Sure.
we had this whole movement where all the guitar players really were technically, amazing, really. I mean, it was like expected that you were going to be a great lead player in the 80s. So that was fun, having that become the norm. And I even like some of the 90s stuff, like I definitely like Alice in Chains, and I like Soundgarden, and I like Stone Temple Pilots. I think there's a lot of good songs there. Some of it wasn't for me. And I didn't really understand the whole I don't want to be a rock star, but I'm going to keep putting out albums mentality. It was like,
Right.
well, you could not be a rock star in a hurry. You could just stop recording or putting out your music publicly. So that didn't necessarily make sense to me. But when it comes to the 80s, that just happened to be that magic era where I was starting guitar, and there was a lot of inspiration guitar wise in that generation. And I think what appealed to me too as a kid was because the guitar, being good on guitar was cool in the 80s. It was cool to like accept other styles. Like you could put on Al Di Meola back then and have people not be like, what are you listening to this for?
Right.
Whereas I don't know if this generation, they think the same, like I loved the guitar heroes like Steve Morse, who was putting out, you could listen to one of his records and there'd be a country track on there,
Right.
and just, all these different styles represented. Or you listen to, these guys who were taking it out there, Steve Vai kind of became the Hendrix of the 80s, kind of taking all the all the wild sounds and all the, you know, psychedelia and putting it with all the technical capabilities that he was doing. And so, you know, that stuff was cool to me too. But really the core of it for me was like all bands, you know, like I just love the bands.
Right.
Love the tunes. And so that's what this comes down to for me. It's like, all right, I don't really want to use this as like a guitar showcase. I want to use it as like, what would I have liked to listen to when I was younger?
Yeah, because Chris and I argue about this kind of stuff all the time. Because I turned on the radio the other day, and there's like 3 freaking rock stations, and none of them are playing any good new rock. I don't know if there's any good new rock out there. And Chris French telling me there is,
Yeah,
but
there's
it's
tons.
still the same old stuff that I love. But man, rock music today needs a new breath of fresh air.
I think that I mean, certainly online, like as you flip through the instrument of guitar is, it's veering towards sensationalism a lot. Like it's sort of like, you know, how you have the singing contests online, right? And that's not necessarily about like, when you think about who the great singers are, they weren't always great singers because of like range or anything fantastic. They just had like a cool quality. And it's the same with guitar. It wasn't always the guy who like could play a million miles an hour or like, you know, play technically the greatest. You know, look at David Gilmour, man. You know, he was as slow hand as it gets, and yet definitely a guitar great. You know, you never heard David Gilmour ripping off any fast licks. You know, I mean, it was always just really tasty. So I think, you know, online we're veering towards that. Like you scroll through Instagram and there's all these guys shredding and there's all these guys shredding, but there's never the moment where it just kind of is like, oh, this is, you know, really, really tasteful music. And like,
Well, and you know what it is too, Joel, and I'll point to an exact example of it. There's a guitar player out there named Nick Nocturnal who's huge on YouTube. He's like got, you know, 800,000 followers or some crazy number. And I know I talked to him one time and I just asked him, why don't you put together a band to go out there and play? And he's like, why? You know, because today's mentality is I can put out a song, I can get 2 million views on it and never have to haul my guitar and my amps and all that. You know, it's a different mentality than the mentality we grew up with holding an album and looking at it and then wanting to see that face from that record 5 feet in front of me. You know, it's just a different mentality.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, I think it's fine. Like it's just an observation because it's veered towards sensationalism, but like at the same time, whatever keeps people into music, you know.
Right.
Like if forced to like have American Idol and The Voice on television versus another, you know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever, let's go with American Idol and The Voice, shall we?
Agree.
You know, I think we're all in agreement there.
Right.
So, I mean, you're still better off having that because it's still going to make kids want to sing and still like inspire them to pursue music. And the guitar thing is the same way. You know, it's like it might be a bit about that, but at least it's making people, you know, I guess push themselves on the instrument and. You know, it's all good at the end of the day. I guess, you know, I'm a bit of a rock dinosaur, you know, I mean, I've been doing this a long time now. So I grew up, you know, playing in the bars and all that and you know, paying my dues. And so it took a long time, in fact, for things to really kind of take off for me and have me do like relatively well, whatever we're going to say I do. So, you know, I think all that was really good for me to go through all the different musical experiences. I really wouldn't change a thing, man. Outside of maybe just wish I was like, you know, financially set for life would be a great feeling right now. But, you know, beyond that, I kind of dig like the whole crazy path that I've had.
Right.
Now you grew up, I read, playing piano and cello. Is that correct?
Yeah, my parents were classical musicians, so they had me going really early, and I was really young, and I was like, man, I want to be a pitcher. Like, that's what I was doing back then. I used to pitch all day, every day. And, like, I was like the fastest pitcher in my little league and won the World Series a couple times, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then suddenly everybody shot up to this height and I was still here, and I was like, oh, I'm not cool anymore. Everybody's like hitting my pitching, and like so, and right about at that same time was the AC/DC thing for me, you know.
Okay.
doing that, and then going like, hey, what about guitar? That could be cool. Like I like that guy. And then that really stuck. It just stuck from day one. Like it just took learning rock.
Right.
So at first I had my stepmom's acoustic, and I, had a teacher teaching me how to read the notes. And I was like, this isn't what I pictured it being. I want to be Angus Young. How do I get to do that when I'm learning, the 3 notes on the high E string here in the book?
Right.
But, thankfully a friend of mine steered me towards this teacher that was teaching rock songs. And so, for lesson number 1, he showed me Paranoid. And I was like, that's the first rock tune I learned how to play. And I went and my parents were like, well, we're not going to buy you an amp until we're sure you're going to stick with this. Like I had to pay my dues for them to buy me an amp. But luckily that same teacher said, well, what you can do, you take this cable, you plug into the auxiliary input of your home stereo. And I went, oh, cool. So home stereo went on 10, and
nice.
I think right at that point in time, the parents were like, oh my gosh, what have we gotten ourselves into here? The whole neighborhood could hear me probably out of tune playing Paranoid.
Did you ever think about doing like a classical kind of album? Somebody was texting and asking.
I've done an acoustic album, did classical guitar for, I would say, took lessons with that my last couple of years of high school, and then actually did 2 years of college where I played more of that than I did rock. But it just wasn't me at the end of the day, Like the way I look at myself with all this stuff is I've kind of understood. I have the understanding of how to play straight ahead jazz a bit as well, and I tinker with all this stuff. But I kind of like being able to pull some of those ideas into the rock world and be like, aha, I got away with doing that in the rock scene, more so than actually pursuing. I think to do something like that, you really have to be like committed to that. And I just wasn't who I am at the end of the day to be like, I'm just going to play classical guitar 8 hours a day,
Sure. Definitely.
You toured to Cher. I have to know what that was like.
That was cool. Coverdale was having his knee replacement surgery done in 2017. So it gave us the heads up, and I just sent out a bunch of texts to people being like, hey, don't really need a new gig, but like if anybody needs a sub or somebody to fill in this year, let me know. Cause I kind of got the year off of touring here, and that ended up being a really interesting year, just kind of, building a lot of random things. And then, so one of the people I texted was my friend Justin Derrico, who plays guitar with Pink, and he plays on The Voice. And the other guitar player on The Voice was Dave Berry, Cher's guitarist. And right at that time, he happened to be saying to him, man, I need to find somebody to fill in for me, while I'm doing The Voice here with Cher.
Right.
And so Justin said, I know it's going to sound weird, but what about Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake? He's like, he can play different styles, and he understands how to do this, So anyway, that really was supposed to be like a few shows, and it ended up being like a few years, really. So it turned into a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And, it was great musicians, really good time. As far as Cher, it's not like we were hanging out going for coffee in the morning or something.
Right.
But, she had some fun stuff she would do with all of us, where she would take us to the movies and stuff like that. Or there was like bingo night, and like everybody would like hang out. And so, she was cool. It just a different atmosphere than, like say a buddy in your band. You're not going to be like, hey, what are you doing right now? You want to hang out?
Did you take the online beating that like Demi Lovato, Nita Strauss took when she joined Demi Lovato?
No, I think it was a different situation. I think that was, sort of framed at the time. Because she needed to miss some time that she was quitting, even though I don't think she was really quitting. I think they were just kind of like, okay, she's going to go do this.
Sure.
I always prioritized Whitesnake over Cher. So if there was like a Whitesnake show or a tour, I was there.
Right.
And that was sort of the understanding when I got hired on Cher. I was like, well, look, I have 2 things, that Whitesnake and Trans-Siberian Orchestra, that when those happen, I tried talking them out of hiring me, basically. I was like, look, I don't know that I'm really the right guy that you want to have like coming in here as like your full-time guy, because I have a couple things that are so anyway, there's the difference, I guess, you know, and maybe if they had said up front, like Nita's going to take some time off to do that, she wouldn't have had that kind of response from rock fans.
Yeah, because she did take a beating. Oh boy. It was not well, the internet's never friendly though, is it?
No. Rock fans can be brutal sometimes. I mean, there's definitely some people that like, man, I lost a lot of, especially, you know, when you drag the politics into it, you know, people assume like whenever you're playing for somebody that you're necessarily aligned with every single political view they must have, especially these days. And, you know, so, you know, that there was a lot of, you know, Cher tends to be pretty outspoken with that. So there was a lot of people that, you know,
about that. Yeah.
Go from you can still rock in America with Night Ranger, you know, and to Cher. So, you know, that, like, you know, my whole thing is like, it's a gig. Like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care. Like, politics are not my thing, man. You know, I'm like, I just want to play my guitar. Can I just play?
Exactly.
What about TSO? How's it going with TSO? What's it like playing that kind of music compared to the Whitesnake stuff?
Well, TSO is like, you know, it's Trans-Siberian Orchestra, right? So there's number one, there's a lot more people. It's something that I would say there's, just because of the history, that being Savatage, and to maximize the amount of shows, it's essentially Savatage split two ways, and then they fill in the band with people, you know, somebody like myself being one of those people. It's, so you just find the, you know, you just know your place in every gig you do, like what the situation is, you know. I mean, it's important to me, like with Whitesnake, that, you know, for obviously it's David Coverdale's band, you know, but like, you know, David does put us on the shirts and he puts us in the tour programs, and I got to write with him on the last record. And, you know, you definitely feel like, hey, band, you know. So, and David's really great about championing his players and, you know, promoting online, and that's just something that's been great about that, especially because, you know, for me leading into Whitesnake, there'd been a lot of US stuff for me, you know. I was playing Rock of Ages in New York City 8 shows a week. I was touring with Trans-Siberian Orchestra in the US, and I was like, Night Ranger, we would go to Japan and maybe like an occasional like one-off in the UK or something, but pretty much a US band. You know, Night Ranger does a lot of US dates. And so for me, it was really cool joining Whitesnake, because it was like, hey, people in South America care, people all across Europe care, people in the UK really care about Whitesnake, you know, because there was such a long history there before the band broke. And, you know, so being able to go to Australia and South America and you know, different territories than I'd ever been able to get to, and have people actually care like who I was amazing to me, you know. Like,
Nice.
Are those overseas shows kind of cool, or is there a bigger response audience size wise than here in the States? Because I mean, it seems like rock in general does a lot better now, anyways, when you see the concerts overseas.
I'd say definitely in the UK. I mean, I think it depends on what area Whitesnake plays in, but like, you know, the UK, we headlined arenas going through there on this farewell tour. I mean, I don't know that in the US we would necessarily be able to headline arenas. You know, we were slated to open for the Scorpions, you know, in sheds and some arenas, I think, but I think you could safely say that Whitesnake is more popular in the UK than in the US. That's just by nature, because there was, you know, so many records were big there before Whitesnake even became popular in the US.
Right, definitely.
Being on tour a lot, like, you know, like you are. I know here in Cleveland, like a lot of the small clubs and venues that used to have all these rock bands come in all the time. Is that the same way across the country? Are a lot of these small clubs and little venues closing up? Or I mean, that's the way rock music was meant to be, and now it seems like a lot of those places aren't around anymore. Yeah,
I don't know. I I know, like, you know, heading out and doing some of the I guess smaller stuff that I do are the acoustic duo shows of my friend Brandon Gibbs, and we're
Yeah.
still able to find a little network of things that we can go do out there and be able to play. And I personally like that because those are the shows where like the actual fans show up, like the people that actually care who you are. You know, you take the bigger gigs and there's going to be a significant portion of that audience that's the casual fan that might not even know like my name by the end of the gig, or, you know, walk out and go, yeah, you know, the blonde haired guy or whatever, you know, that. So when you're playing those smaller gigs and it's advertised under your name, that's who you really start seeing who the diehard fans are, who are really following everything you're doing and come out. So those can be really cool to play because it gives you an opportunity to connect with your really diehard fan base.
Right on.
So I think there's still opportunities out there. I suppose it's like anything else in life. You could look at like every obstacle, or you could look at the stuff that's there, you know?
Right.
There's no question it's not what it used to be, but it hasn't been what it used to be since I even got old enough to be gigging with bands. I mean, in the Chicago area where I grew up, the drinking age was 18 prior to my days. You know what I mean? If you go back to the 70s, so you take like a lot of those bands, like when Styx was a local band, you know, banging around there, those guys were, you know, they're playing both nights on the weekend and, you know, making mad bank, and we're for kids in high school, that is, you know?
Right.
And living it up. For my generation, we kind of would play like the all ages show, maybe once a month, maybe twice a month.
Right.
But yeah, we still had some great talent in the scene, you know, in my little local area there in the suburbs of Chicago. You know, Disturbed came out of there.
Right.
I used to be in the same local scene with Dan Donegan, their guitarist, and you know, it's fun for me to see him succeed and do well, and see those guys do well. Danny was always a great guy. He was a great guy even when we were just little kids. You know, I've known him since I was probably 14 or something like that. He was always a great guy.
Right on. Well, dude, let's pull it back to your record, because we do got to promote the record, Joel Hoekstra's 13, Crash of Life, on June the 13th. It will be out. Everybody should buy it, not just stream it, but actually buy it. Yes. That's like a rule. You have to buy music if it's available to buy. But
is it not June 16?
Is it June 16?
I think it's good. Okay, all right. I've been saying it wrong all day, and you're right. I'm glad you're unsure, because
I could very well be wrong. I took it from the press release, but
I think it's June 16, bro. I'm pretty sure.
All right, the second week of June, go buy it. How's that? In fact, go buy it now, right? Can you pre-order it?
Yeah, you can pre-order right now.
So don't even wait for the date. Buy it today, as soon as this interview ends.
Yeah, you can just get it now and just be yours when it's
absolutely. Well, dude, let's dig into a couple of the tunes, man, because there's a couple songs that I really, really dug. My favorite being Damaged Goods, which is your guitar playing on that alone. You know, you don't do yourself justice talking about yourself as a player. This one song has you playing like 3 or 4 different styles of guitar, all mixed and matched, but it works. Talk a little bit about this one, man, because I got to imagine of all of the songs on this had to be your showcase song.
This was just a, you know, like I suppose like a cool little hook with the vocal and the guitar kind of doubling it, because the opening riff was really busy. So when you write a really busy riff on guitar, you go, it's almost kind of Iron Maiden-ish or something,
right?
You know, and then you think, okay, so what's the hook over the top? Because that might be a cool riff, but it's not like something some people can sing. I always like having like a section have something that can be something that people can have stuck in their head.
Right.
So that required me writing that little melodic hook over the top.
Right.
And then I would say the verse is kind of like that core sound of the Joel Hoekstra's 13 thing, that like Dio-ish kind of sound. You know, I got Vinny Appice on drums in this, and Tony Franklin on bass, who, you know, he fits right into that style, that sound so well. And so that's always kind of been the core, you know, and Girish might have a different tone than Dio, but he sings gritty. And so I say that it's kind of based on that. And, you know, the chorus, I mean, almost like might might even be like a little bit of like a Pantera-ish kind of riff in a way. Maybe not as aggressive a tone as Dimebag, but you know,
Sure.
but like where that riff is derived from or influenced by. So
Sure.
Well,
you know, you took some Iron Maiden, you put some Pantera in. I can't imagine how any metalhead could think that's bad. I mean, it's so good.
Not at all.
yeah, I'd say Damaged Goods fits in like slightly below the heaviest tracks. I feel like the heaviest tracks are probably like Far Too Deep and Everybody Knows Everything. And then, you know, Damaged Goods fits right in there. So there's like this heavier end of the spectrum. And then, you know, you've got a couple ballads, you know, mellower tunes. And then somewhere in between, you got stuff that kind of falls in the Zeppelin AC/DC kind of influence category, you know, like Don't Have Words is very AC/DC influenced. And You're Right for Me is very Zeppelin-y. It's like I wrote that on, you know, an open tuning on acoustic, like Jimmy Page,
right?
You know, would be in the open tunings, and then I ended up just throwing a Sans amp on there to distort it a little bit and kind of get it out, and then add some power chords around it, and tough it out a bit, you know.
Sure. And then the other one, you know, since we're just throwing names out there, Not Tonight feels very Whitesnake like. Almost like that could have been something you wrote for Whitesnake and didn't make it, but it's got a very Still of the Night-ish, that you know, at the beginning part. Like,
so for me, that feels like Zeppelin-y.
Okay.
You know, which is Whitesnake-y. You know, definite correlation between Zeppelin and Whitesnake. And then the chorus, I would say, for me, is like, you know, Dokken-ish or something. You know, like I could hear Don Dokken singing that melody in the chorus very easily. So, you know, and that's all kind of stuff I grew up on as well. That's my first band that I was ever in. We covered a lot of them. That was the band that we sounded good covering. Our singer sounded a little like him. And I, you know, could cover George's stuff a little bit at that age. And so.
Very good, man. Well, dude, you mentioned Girish Prod. Is it Prodden? I don't know how to say his last name.
Man, no, I don't.
You either.
The funniest story was so they wanted us to do an announcement about this and kind of release it staggered. And so I sent a voice memo to one of the guys at the label and said, so Girish Pradhan, right? Is that how I pronounce his name? Because I don't want to say it incorrectly on this. And they said, yeah, no, you got it. That's it, dude. So I made this video. And then when it came time for him to make his, you know, he said it with an accent that I was like, oh, forget it. Baseball, man. I was like, it sounded nothing like the way I said it. So I went, okay, I guess we're just, you know, look, my name is supposed to be, if you do the Dutch pronunciation, have like a Hoekstra, you know, like a hook, but nobody would ever get that out of Hoek. So I just say Hoekstra because I have mercy on, you know,
on us.
On us, yeah.
I mean, my name is hard enough to say or spell anyway. So I mean, I'm like, look, I got enough problems on my hands. Much less hoping they're going to get the Dutch thing going on.
Right on, man. Well, dude, I did want to talk about Girish, who, you know, for me personally, the best album of 2022 was the Girish and the Chronicles record. So good. So for anybody that likes 80s style, it's so out of the Skid Row-ish sort of book, you know, that anybody like that will love that. How did you end up working with him? And specifically, how do you end up working with anybody and not just elevating your guy JSS up to being the singer in your band?
Well, I mean, Jeff sang half the lead vocals on the first record.
Yeah.
And so it was Russell Allen, and then Jeff sang half of the lead vocals. And that was like kind of the only bag on that album was people were like, I don't get the two lead singers. It's like, well, it's a project, man. I can do whatever I want, right?
Right.
Leave me alone. And it's Jeff Scott Soto, damn it. And then the second one, I decided, well, let's just have Russell sing it. And Jeff and I are just, you know, we're good friends. And so he does these as mainly a favor to me, you know, like singing background on the second one. And then with this one, with Girish, same thing. I think it comes down to more the fact that Jeff already fronts a lot of stuff. And like, you know, yeah, Jeff could sing it and front it, sure, easily, you know. But, you know, at the same time, like he's got a lot of stuff that he already does.
Yeah, I know. I get a press release every month with his next release. It's crazy with that guy.
So, I mean, for me, it was kind of an opportunity to start out with Girish, who, was kind of, I guess, got that young and hungry eye of the tiger thing going on.
Sure.
Right now. I think he's looking to make a name for himself. And as you said, I watched the Girish and the Chronicles stuff when the label said, what about this guy? And they sent me some links, and I went, well, yeah, amazing screamer, but like you said, it's kind of like, a young Sebastian Bach or something.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, man, this dude's like screaming away, amazing range. Problem is like with my stuff, I'm like, okay, my stuff's more like Ronnie James Dio through like Lou Gramm or Paul Rogers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some ability to just kind of sing, and none of those guys were the high screamer type.
Right.
But even Dio wasn't really a high screamer type.
Yeah, true.
Power screamer, but not really like a high tenor, that kind of came in with Jeff Tate doing all that stuff. Everybody started doing that after Jeff Tate was done, right? So anyway, I just gave Girish the stuff and was like, look, this is kind of, the vibe, and every track I got from him, I was like, wow, well, he can really do it all. He's really a chameleon. He can kind of fit the vibe of whatever the song needs. So he's kind of the perfect guy, because the music is pretty diverse on the record. I mean, it's not like there's like, hey, every song sounds exactly the same. It ranges from that really heavy stuff to like, ballady kind of stuff that even, one of the ballads even has some kind of R&B type changes on this. So it's a pretty diverse sounding record. So finding someone that can fit the bill and all that, it's not easy.
Right on.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
So much appreciated. And the new album, again, June 16th. That's what we're going with, correct?
Yes.
Got to make sure to buy it.
June 16th. Pre-order it now.
Appreciate you coming on, man. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So
yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys helping out and spreading the word. Definitely.
Absolutely.
We need more new, good rock music. So keep it coming, my friend. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm working hard every day, brother.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you. Thank you so much, man.
All right, Joel. Thanks, buddy.
Cool. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
Good dude, man. Good stuff.
Joel Hoekstra, he rules.
June 16th.
June 16th, Crash of Life.
But buy it now.
13/16. Just buy it now. Don't waste your time waiting.
You said that the guy, the name you can't pronounce.
Girish Pradhan, I think.
You sent me some of his stuff earlier, and
yeah,
it does rock, man. I mean,
it's really good.
There's some good shit out there that I didn't
know about. So
yeah, there's more and more. I was going to bring Girish and the Chronicles to the new music moment at some point here. I figured this week we're doing live new music moment with Joel Hoekstra.
Well,
but yeah, good stuff. Just a lot of good music.
We're gonna take a quick break, and then Target wants you to tuck your stuff away. And,
fun.
Here's some more Joel. Hang on.
All right.
Once or twice would be nice to be heard and seen. I could say to myself and just play that it's all a dream. From that knock on the door came a crack in the sky. When it didn't, you stared and took hold of my soul and mind.
What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's, where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
Right back here, and I want to thank Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood for the hotline. Joel Hoekstra joined us on Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. Thank you for the hotline. Joining us now on the hotline, once again, the Charlie's Auto Repair hotline, is one of the guys from the commercial you just heard, Joe Burdick, flag guy.
Flag
How
guy.
you doing? How you doing?
That's what my vanity license plates say, the flag guy.
That's what your TikTok says and everything else. Yeah. I'm now following you on TikTok, Joe.
Nice. I can't believe I have a TikTok.
I know, but it's good. It's entertaining.
That's right.
Somebody says do a Billy Morris interview about music, his music and songwriting. I think we could probably get Billy on, right, Chris?
I'm sure we could make that happen.
Yeah.
I saw him Saturday. He's awesome.
What the hell is he doing? He's not doing anything.
There was a Janie Lane tribute Saturday night.
I know. Bobby Brown was in town, Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard.
I think she still looks pretty good.
She did. I saw some pictures. She did look pretty good.
I think when I said Bobby Brown, a lot of people went, the black rapper guy? No.
Yeah.
We're talking about,
A lot of people thought it was her prerogative, right?
yeah. Joe joining us. And actually, Joe's doing something very cool with Billy Morris.
And you.
And this show. Going to be doing a Feed the Police event June 21st.
Great.
The 3rd District. And we're going to be... Billy Morris will be there with his smoking rock and roll food truck. And you're going to be there presenting a flag as well. We're going to be feeding the 3rd District cops, and I think there's like 140 of them. So that's a lot of people that we're going to be taking care of, and looking forward to that because we love the men and women in blue. So thank you for doing that, Joe.
Yep, the flag's done. It looks amazing. I can't wait to bring it to him.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Now, you're on because you sent me a text earlier today.
Yep.
And it was a picture of an envelope. You can tell people what happened and how this all started.
Yeah. So I got a message today. There was an envelope sitting here waiting for me, and the return address was from the office of the 45th president. And so one of the guys that follows my social media, he lives in West Palm Beach, and he is the neighbor and good friend of Donald Trump. And when all this crap started going, with him his house being raided, the ridiculous lawsuit, I told the guy, I said, man, Trump needs to know more than ever that people are, sticking by him. I'm sure he needs to hear it. I said, I'd love to get him one of my flags. And he said, I'll tell you what, send me one of your flags and I will hand deliver it to Trump. And a couple of weeks ago, actually, while my son and I were on our cruise, he sent me a photo of him with the flag at Mar-a-Lago and a photo with Ronnie Jackson, the senator from Texas, and Donald Trump's former doctor or congressman, I think is what he is. But anyway, so he told me he gave it to Trump. It's in his personal office, and I could be expecting a letter from him soon. Well, today, the letter, this is a copy, the letter came here today from Donald Trump. And it looks like it was signed by a ballpoint, not by auto pen or whatever they do.
Right.
So I have a thank you letter from Donald Trump.
See, I think that's fantastic, man. And I was telling Chris earlier, we talked about it a little bit. What we need now is for that flag to be inside the White House.
Yeah, we do.
How cool would that be? Like a Joe Burdick custom flag sitting in the White House. Get a picture of that.
Oh, I'm getting excited. Yeah. What, too, Seth, is so this past weekend I was at the Joint Veterans Council of Cuyahoga County Veteran of the Year Award, which I seem to go every year, but I'm never nominated, but that's all right. But anyway, so I was sitting at my table was our Congressman Miller. We were talking, and I even sent him a text message today with the letter, and we were talking. He said he and President Trump were talking about the flag because they both have one, and President Trump told him he has my flag and he loves it. So Congressman Miller today told me, because he's also very good friends with President Trump, he's going to get a photo of him with the flag. So I have the letter. I really want a photo.
Right. Do you think that there'll be a time if Donald Trump gets reelected? I mean, he's been known to bring people into the White House that have done things for him. And, do you think that's a possibility that you could end up being one of these guys leaned over the desk taking the picture with the president?
Oh, man, that would be amazing. I don't want to get my hopes up or something like that, but I'll tell you what, just doing, getting this is huge for me.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up about something like that, but, of course I would love it. I wouldn't turn down an invitation to the White House, but, yeah, it's pretty cool and I always say too, whenever I get a letter, whether it's from a patriot like us or, a politician or first responder or celebrity, I always love getting the letter,
Sure.
But this letter, I mean, there's only 4 living former presidents, and one of them has my flag in his office. That's pretty damn.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty sure Biden has one too, but I think you forgot about it.
Yeah, no,
I'm not sure.
and you know what though? It's funny. I mean, if he wanted one of my flags, I'd sell him one.
Absolutely.
I gave one to President Trump. I'd sell Trump one. I mean, Biden one.
So, real quick, name some of the celebrities that have your flags.
Oh boy, Danny Vitale, my buddy. He used to play with the Packers and the Browns. Alejandro Villanueva, war hero, former Steeler. Jenny McCarthy actually bought 3 of them.
Wow.
Marcus Luttrell, Taya Kyle, the widow of Chris Kyle, Will Kane, and I know your wife loves Pete Hegseth. Yeah, they've got my flags. Geraldo has one. Jamie Meter. Andy Janovich, his jersey's behind me. He's got one. Actually, he buys a ton of stuff from me to give to all of his patriotic buddies. But Seth Williams has one.
Remember now, one of the hottest chicks. You saw the movie Roadhouse, I'm assuming, Chris. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember the hot blonde from Roadhouse?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
the one that he was with, but the hot blonde with boobs
Julie-
hanging out and everything.
Julie Michaels.
Yeah, she has a flag.
Nice.
And that's absolutely amazing to me.
And Yasmin Bleeth from Baywatch.
Another gorgeous
See,
girl.
if you could just get a picture of her running down the beach and then like a swimsuit with the flag, that would be amazing.
You know,
Do it in slow mo.
I have a picture of Yasmin and Julie Michaels with their flags. I mean, it's pretty awesome. You know, I mean, it's definitely cool. You know, for people like that. But the thing that I find probably the coolest is I can't even remember how many people I've made flags for. So I can name a few celebrities, but it's like the regular people like us, man. When somebody is like, hey, I want to order one for my dad or my brother, or, you know, when Marilyn Soviak sent me a message almost 2 years ago, and she wanted to buy one of my flags and to place it next to her brother's casket at his funeral, Max Soviak, you know, first of all, I was honored. And second, I said, you know, she could absolutely not. She couldn't buy one of my flags, but I donated one. And my flag was next to his casket at his wake. You know, the 24-year-old kid that was killed in Afghanistan.
Wow.
You know, that was amazing to me that, you know, they would want one, first of all. And I've seen them a couple of other times and helped their charities. And I'm actually going to be playing in the Max Soviak Memorial Golf outing with his dad. So, I mean, these flags have done a lot of really good things, like you said, about the police department. And I'm so honored to be able to do that and help keep Triv's memory alive. And, you know, just the amazing people we meet almost, you know, every time we do something. I'm so proud to be able to do this.
Yep, Jake texted in and said, hey guys, we're getting the band back together. Yeah.
Jake, hey buddy.
So I mean, yeah, I mean it's cool to be doing the police thing once again. God knows, yeah, we could never do what Triv did because Triv was the driving force behind everything. Coach for Kids, the police, but doing the small part to try to keep that memory alive, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool that you're doing it. I think it's cool that Billy Morris is doing it. God knows that the show is behind it.
Of course.
And you know, anything we can do to promote that and to keep that going, I think is going to be fantastic. So we're looking for sponsors for that. If anybody wants to help sponsor it, you can do that.
Well, if there's going to be that many people, that many cops there, that's going to be amazing. I mean, you were at probably almost all of the 52 that we did. I mean, probably the most that we got was at the probably the Rapid Transit Police, and that was a lot of cops. But that wasn't. I don't think that was anywhere near 100 and something.
Yeah.
But that'll be amazing to see those guys. I mean, and for any of your viewers that want to come out there, man, Billy, I'm assuming he's going to do this, but he played the national anthem, guitar. You know, the guys all gather around. We take a big group picture with the flag. It's an amazing thing. And our cops, you know, they need to hear us out there. We're like, we need to be more vocal, and so that they can see that we all care about them.
Yeah, there's too much crap going on now, and they definitely need the support. And you know, it's something small to go out there and feed the guys, but it's just showing respect and showing love for what they do.
Yeah. And remember, Seth, we did this when that COVID crap was right at its highest. So
yes,
Riv would go out there not wearing a mask, and I loved it. And we weren't, we weren't wearing those stupid masks, and we're shaking their hands and, you know, hugging cops and feeding cops. And I mean, that when people were, you know, hiding in their basements, another Biden reference, but hiding in their basements, we were out there, you know, showing love to cops.
Yeah, there was one that we did. I think it was like in Kirtland or something. And there were a ton of people that showed up because that area is just fantastic out there. They were just, you know, they were pro-Trump and they were literally marching the streets with flags. And nobody was wearing a mask. And it was the height of COVID. I mean, like the radio station was saying, don't do this because if you do, we're going to get crap for, you know, the amount of people that are going to be there. And Triv was like, no, we're doing it. And like, well, wear a mask. And nobody's wearing a mask. I'm taking videos of everything. And everybody's just having a good time, shaking hands, hugging each other. And nobody got COVID from what I know. There was no lawsuits. There was nothing. It was a great time. A bunch of patriots out there having fun and paying respect to the cops. So,
Yep.
It would be nice to kind of do that once again. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, I really am too. And hey, if you want, I'll read you this letter for your viewers. You know, we'll see what Donald Trump had to say.
Yeah.
All right. He said, "Dear Joe, thank you for the exceptionally beautiful flag display. Your commitment to excellence and dedication to exemplifying the American dream through integrity, hard work, and principled leadership is the foundation of your tremendous success, and it demonstrates the proud spirit of veteran-owned and operated businesses. Our nation is strong because of hardworking patriots like you who in and defend the great American ideals of faith, family, community, and country first. The beautiful American flag will serve as an enduring reminder to never stop fighting for the values you and I cherish. May God bless you. Sincerely, Donald J. Trump." And even underlined, "May God bless you."
That's awesome.
That is
cool.
The second page, a naked picture of Stormy Daniels.
No.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing for my little, veteran-owned business. I don't do this for awards or, Veteran of the Year awards or whatever. I love getting letters and, emails, people, videos, people telling me how, their flag made them feel, or their family member. Hell, Seth, if you're following TikTok, I found a video on TikTok. I didn't even know it was out there. I just happened to type in Burdick flags, and a video popped up of a girl did in her house, and it's like a commercial for my little business, and I didn't even know it was out there. So that's the kind of stuff that I really love.
That's awesome. Well, Burdick Custom Flags on Facebook. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if they want flags. They're beautiful.
Thank
Burdick
you.
Custom Flags. You've been a sponsor of this show since day one. So I can't thank you enough, and I appreciate you
because I love
this.
Yep. Yeah,
You
Burdick Custom Flags on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and Burdick. I guess it's Burdick Custom Flags on TikTok. I'm losing track of all the social media. My email is Burdick Flags. I need to get that updated a little bit, but yeah, you can reach me anyway. Phone number 440-305-2065. I can always hear Triv in my head. Say it slower. Say it slower.
Do it again. Say it slower.
440-305-2065.
I appreciate you coming on, Joe. Thanks for coming on, sharing the story about the letter. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks. Get that out there, man. I probably broke a bunch of speed limit laws trying to fly home to see this. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
But thanks for letting me tell the story.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Take it easy, man.
Burdick Custom Flags. Burdick Custom Flags on Facebook. Wow. He's a good dude. And that's a hell of a story, man.
Hell yeah. I mean, you got a letter from a president. Who gets that? Who gets that?
I don't think I ever. I think that I have a letter from Judge Judy. I don't think that counts as.
I have I'm pretty sure I have a form letter from the pandemic from Mike DeWine.
Right.
From complaining about his bullshit.
I wrote actually because I'm a huge Judge Judy fan. I hate to actually admit that, like as we're talking.
Sure. No, Judge Judy, she's fun.
But I've always liked the show. My wife and I always liked the show, and I'm very routine. Mm-hmm. So when I sit down and I eat dinner, that's what I like to watch.
Okay.
I know it sounds ridiculously stupid, but again, I am very OCD routine in that way. And so finally, I just wrote her a letter just saying, hey, watch the show, love the show, love to get an autograph, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, a couple weeks later, I got an envelope that had her logo on the front of it. Inside was an autograph picture to me from Judge Judy and Officer Bird, the guy,
Oh,
or
nice.
bailiff. So they're actually both in my office, which I think is fantastic.
That's pretty cool. I know she's on. Isn't she on like one of the like Freevee or something? Like she has her own
Yeah.
show that's on all the time, like 24/7 channel.
Yeah, it was another like
A new kind of show that she was doing, and I started
Judy
watching it.
Justice or something.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And but the problem that I had was whatever this Freevee is, it's fine that it's free, but there's 400 commercials that you have to sit there.
Yeah, Freevee's
Yeah.
Freevee's a bit excessive with the I'm all about the free platform. I'm all about all the streaming platforms.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Freevee does beat you to death with commercials, and they should have some way that you could just pay an extra $2 a month or something and not have commercials.
Yeah. So when I watched Judge Judy, I have it recorded from earlier on in the day, obviously.
Right.
So that I could fast forward through all the crap that I don't want to watch.
Right.
And unfortunately, on some of those services, you can't do that.
Nope.
So again, if you knew some of the OCD things that I have, Chris, it's very, I don't know if it's entertaining, but yeah, like I can't eat during a commercial.
Really?
So if I'm watching a TV show while I'm eating and a commercial comes on, I put down the fork, put down the sandwich, whatever I'm eating, put it down, and I sit back and I wait 3 minutes or however
what are you
long it
waiting
is.
for? Are you waiting to see if they offer you something better?
No, that's why I watch generally recorded shows so I can fast forward through all the shit.
Right.
But if I'm stuck, like say I'm watching a football game or something like that and I'm eating.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as the commercial comes on, everything's down. And I just sit there and I stare at the TV, wishing to God that I could either not have this OCD or wishing to God that they would just ban all commercials.
Right. Do you ever try to just force yourself to eat through it?
No, that wouldn't be right. And like dinner for me, like I cannot eat generally if I eat before 7:30, all hell's breaking loose, dude. I can't do that.
Really?
So it has to be after 7:30, preferably after 8.
So if you're going somewhere that's not going to have food and you have to leave your house at like 6:45, you're just not going to eat that night?
No, I don't eat. I'll drive around and get gas until it's 7:30 at least.
Right. Wow.
My wife hates me because she's like, "Why are you like this?" But I've been like this since forever.
Sure. That's
Like-
funny.
Like when I used to have a couple of beverages at night, it couldn't be before 8 o'clock. If it was 8, like 7:59, I wouldn't crack a beer. At 8 o'clock, I could have something.
I can honestly say I've never heard this OCD. Wow.
Yeah, dude, it gets kind of. I mean, I've given up a lot of things.
Right.
Like when I was a kid, I used to be OCD and be on the phone with like my girlfriend or something like that. And back then it was a house phone, like a big cord and all that
Right.
bullshit. And I'd have to pick up 3 times to make sure that the phone was hung up before I was done.
Well, so what about these like the Super Bowl? Can you eat through halftime? Or does that register as a commercial?
No, that's okay. That's okay. Generally, what I try to do, though, I'm just being honest because it's weird. But I record the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's a special occasion for eating because you usually eat like wings or you have party type foods and stuff like that. And so my routine when it comes to the Super Bowl is I record it.
Okay.
I don't start the Super Bowl with the recording and eating until after 7:30. So the game's already like an hour and a half, hour in before I actually start eating. So usually I'm timed up to being done eating by the time I get to the halftime.
So if you have a streaming service like Paramount or Peacock or whatever, you'll pay the extra $2 to not have commercials just so you can eat whenever you want.
Absolutely. I can't do it. It's really weird.
That's hilarious.
It's really wore off on me.
There are some things that, I mean, like he was OCD in the sense of like germs. Like didn't like germs.
Mm-hmm.
So like every day I'd have to spray down the studio with disinfectant, Lysol, whatever it was. I'd have to spray down his chair. I'd have to spray down the microphones. I'd just spray down every little thing.
Right.
And he would always grab like handles by his shirt. Would never touch a door handle. And so now I do that kind of stuff too. And it gets a little bit obsessive.
I guess.
Like I'll never I don't touch a gas pump handle. I'll put my sleeve over top of it, and which doesn't do me a whole lot of good because now my sleeve is covered in germs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll
gas,
go,
and that gas smell all day long.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's hilarious.
The little things, man. But I'm not like completely OCD.
Right.
But like a certain time of night is when it's time to go to bed. It's not time to go to bed before that time. And if I'm after that time, I'm thrown off a little.
See, you're a regimen guy too. Like you can't just like if you do something repetitively, you have to do it in order repetitively, right?
Oh yeah.
See, I it's weird because everybody in my family, I think, has that OCD, except me, and they can't figure out how I can work and watch TV and listen. I mean, there's definitely times where I'll have 2 computers going, plus a TV, plus music, and I'll have it all going at once, and that works for me. Just the sheer chaos of it. And none of it is organized. And then when people see me doing that, they're like, what in the hell? How do you get anything done? It's like, that's just how it works for me. You know?
Yeah. Like, again, it goes back to eating. Maybe there was something I had a tragedy as a child when it came to eating.
Yeah.
But I will never eat things together. Like, if I have like a sandwich and fries,
Right.
I have to eat the fries first. The fries are going to be gone before I touch the sandwich. I cannot eat the main dish until the
You
side
can't
dishes
take a
are
bite
gone.
of the sandwich and then 2 fries.
No way. Not gonna happen. Like, if I'm eating a Thanksgiving dinner, it's weird because I'll have like the corn, mashed potatoes, stuffing, turkey, whatever. But that stuff will be gone before I touch the turkey.
So can you do like a dipper thing too, or no? Like, could you?
I'll do a dipper thing.
All
I'll
right.
like maybe combine the side dishes together,
Right.
and that's all right. But yeah, the side dishes.
But no mixing like corn or something with potatoes or whatever. Definitely not.
Corn and potatoes I can do together.
Could you do that? Like, what if they were served separately though?
No, I mean, that's all right. Again, as long as the side dishes are gone before the main dish is consumed.
Okay. All right. So you'd be okay to mix them up. You'd not have to eat all the corn first, then all the potatoes for a second.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It is what it is.
That's good
Like in
stuff.
the mornings, I have the same kind of thing. I have a routine of getting up in the morning. I know what time I'm going to get up. I know what time I'm going to
Right.
get up to go upstairs and work on a computer to post stuff or do this or do that.
Mhm.
But it's very routine because
Right.
then I know that as soon as I'm done with that, then I'm going to close the computer. I'm going to go downstairs and make my sandwich for lunch.
Right.
Now, I know that I enjoy watching Let's Make a Deal during lunch.
Sure.
And so I have all these Let's Make a Deal shows recorded. And so if Let's Make a Deal is a repeat, I'm fucked. Like I start freaking out. Like I'll go to YouTube and try to find like one that I haven't seen. So I
Yeah.
can watch that while I eat. I can't
Right.
watch Price is Right. I can't watch something else. It has to be that during lunch at that time. Then I will actually time out my meal. So I'm done with the meal as soon as the end of the show happens.
That's so funny. So no wonder it drives you absolutely bonkers trying to get a hold of me when I'm like,
Oh my God, dude.
no schedule.
Man. So they're like, all right, I gotta call Chris. I gotta tell him this. I gotta tell him that. And then I pick up the phone. I was like, but I don't know if he's sleeping. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. And then if you don't answer, I'm like, all right, Chris is pissed at me for something. He's mad.
Something happened. I said something the last time
And
that
I talked to him and I fucked it all up.
Dude, and 99% of the time, it's just that I'm on no sleep schedule. It's like this morning, I've been up now since, I think, 3:30 in the morning. I just woke up at 3:30 in the morning, opened my computer, started working. And I'm going. I'll probably go to sleep here at like 6 o'clock, 6:10, 6:10, 6:15. I'll have to look at my phone to see if I missed any calls. But if I didn't, I'll be asleep.
It might be something that I should seek like professional help for.
Nah,
But it
why?
doesn't
It's not
hurt
affecting
anybody.
anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of it makes total sense, dude. I mean, you worked with Triv for how many years? 20?
Well, no, like 13.
Well, 13. Well, even that. I mean, it's more than one. Where the show was 3 to 7. You got in the habit of eating it no earlier than 7:30.
And
Probably
like,
weren't able to.
Something like Jake will understand. You've been in radio, but you weren't like the technical guy. You were more or less the.
Yeah.
But when you are in radio, everything comes down to the second. So every commercial comes down to the
Sure.
30-second, 1 minute, this, that. And everything is very routine. Take a break at this time, go
Sure.
to traffic at this time, go to weather, news this time. So over the 24 years of working in radio, everything becomes routine.
Oh yeah,
You know that the top of the hour is when you're going to go outside and smoke. So, you know, you got to hit the commercials at this time. And everything is so routine that I think that has led to my personal life of doing the same kind of thing.
Probably. It's funny because when I was doing the metal show on MMS and on 92, I used to give Matt the most shit ever about specifically that. 100% about, because Matt, you know, he was the board guy. I was 100% talent. That's all I was.
Right.
And he'd be like, you know, we'd be in the middle of talking about something. He'd be like, oh, hold on, man. We'll be right back with more of that right after this. It's the metal show. And it was because he was trying to stick to we didn't have a clock per se on the metal show, but we definitely had you have to get all your commercials run by this time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had, so we didn't have a hard clock, but we had, what would you call that? Soft clock, I guess.
Yeah.
And it would make me crazy. Like he would be like, we'd be in the middle of talking about something great. And I'd be like, or he would all of a sudden hit me with, hold up, we'll come right back to that right after this from ABC Ford, you know, and I'd be like, the mics would go off and I'd be like, what the F are you towing, man? We were rocking. And he's like, I got to hit the spots, man. Fuck the spots. You know, I was losing my mind. And then we'd come back and then he'd be like, well, now Chris is pissed.
But it's true. I mean, like, Jake, I go to the bathroom every day after the 12 o'clock news. If I eat, it's in between my 2 and 2:30.
Sure.
That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And hope the fitting went well. Yes, wearing my new leg now. Thanks, Eric.
That's good.
But yeah, everything, I think, again, for 24 years in radio, it's just one clock after another. You spend your entire life looking at the clock and seeing, here it is. Here's the next thing we got to do. Next thing you got to do.
Right.
And so I think I just carry it over to the personal life. So.
Well, it would make sense. You spend as much time there as you did anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, sometimes more than my own family.
Yeah. Well, that's radio for you.
All right. Well, I appreciate everything tonight. Joel Hoekstra, fantastic tonight. I'll be posting that.
Absolutely.
Separately, if anybody wants to watch that, it was very good. And Jim Brown talk was fun, I think. And Wednesday, I don't know what we got going on. I want to get into that Target thing because people are tucking their junk into little pockets and kids are doing it now too. So I want to get into that. We'll try to find some other stuff.
I'm sure we can find something or somebody or something, you know.
Always do.
Lord knows my inbox is always full of bands desperate for coverage. So,
well, I appreciate everything tonight, and thanks everybody listening.
Sure.
My show today is Seth and Chris, but you always have a great show. Keep them coming.
Thanks.
Natalie. Everybody have a great night. God willing, talk to you Wednesday. Chris Hagen presents tonight, correct?
That is correct.
What do you got?
We got Sexy T, Todd Strange from Crowbar. Remember them back in the early 90s? Big, fat, and slow sludge metal band. Crowbar. They have a new band called I Am. It's two of the guys from Crowbar, two of the guys from Typo Negative. So got that, and then we'll just be talking about whatever we talk about. Myself and Stephen Piercy guitarist Eric Ferentinos, who was in town yesterday, who was in Willoughby. So
did you see him? Did you have fun?
I did not see him. I was asleep until 3:00 in the afternoon. I hit him up, or he hit me up and was like, dude, I'm having equipment problems. I can't make it. I was like, okay, cool. You know, whatever. So it didn't happen, but I'll obviously catch up with him the next time he's through.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you hopefully Wednesday, and thank you again, and thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
See ya.
See ya.